everybody! Here we are, continuing my Cascadia Transit Expansion Project. Just as a quick heads up, I am still recovering from being sick for about a week and a half or so, but I still have some lingering here, and I still have a little bit of congestion, so pardon me if I cough at any point and I don't feel the ability to cut it because I'm just continuing in the flow. But yes, so these are the 3 lines we're going to feature today, and by the way, if you want to see the completed network, and its quick overview, I highly recommend you check out this video in the upper right hand corner, pinned comment, and of course the description below, because that way you can get a overview of what the whole network looks like, how they interface and interconnect, including with the Intercity Express, that is the ICE line, and of course the ultra high speed rail line. I had actually talked about this one, which we will start off with, is the Edmunds Streetcar. I had already mentioned that this was going to exist at some point very recently. And I also want to show you how these interface with other lines. So we will start with the Edmunds Streetcar. So this line directly interfaces with the South Lake Union Everett line, also featured in this video right here. Yes, so this line, of course, is again from South Lake Union in downtown Seattle, also known as the International District, or I like to call it the World's Fair District or neighborhood. But anyway, it goes all the way up, of course, into Everett up here. So there you go. So it has the direct interconnectivity, and that's why this looks like that. It's a bi-level station, if you will. Okay, cool. Don't care. Didn't ask. So technically, this one I consider to start here at the the Edmunds University campus transit center here. So this is where I have the first station, and therefore the technically last station. We also have the Edwood station, of course. It's a mix of Linwood and Edwood, or Edmonds. The third station we have here, Pine Ridge Park / Roundabout. And then we have Yost Park / Main and 12th. This is all Yost Park right here, Pork, and this is obviously Main and 12th. So there you go. Next one is Main and Seabunt, right here. The next one is in Edmonds proper, aka downtown Edmonds. You have a transit center, it looks like right here. You, of course, also has a little park here. You have the beaches. You have, of course, one of the WADOT ferries, so Washington State Ferries, or Washington Department of Transportation Ferry System. I like how Oregon also has Point. We have Point, which is an intercity coach bus service throughout Oregon, and that's ran by ODOT. And then, or ORDOT. And then WADOT, or Washington, WDOT, Washington's Department of Transportation, has the ferry services. So both Oregon and Washington technically have their own state-run transit services, which I think is in a way kind of cool. It's also scary, but like both of them, as far as I understand, function really well and are fairly well funded, which is pretty dang cool, I think. I really still want to take a Point service somewhere, maybe to Bend. I don't know. I have kind of a fondness for Central Oregon, especially the Bend or Sun River area. So because of my 2 winter breaks we got to take as a family in 2002 and 2003. And those are some of my most cherished, not my most cherished memories I've ever had in my life so far. Because it was both winter, of course. So yeah, that definitely helps because I fucking love sky cocaine. And no, it's not snow, it's sky cocaine. Get it right. Anyway, downtown Edmonds Station, right next to the ferry system, right next to the transit center. And then obviously this little nodule connects up, making it very easy to make your quick transfer to the transit center and also to the ferry system without having to worry about crosswalking signals. So you just stay at the station level, go down this ramp, well, bam. Fantastic. Okay, and then we haze. And you can tell I try to avoid these curved stations, by the way, but it just makes sense there. The next station we have is the Edmonds Food Bank, which is at this Choich. Go figure. The next one we have is at Puget and Olympic. Puget. Okay. Putrid. And Ozempic. And then Maplewood over here. Should probably be a little more zoomed out. You can see the catchment basins better, and how they also correlate with other stations. And then, last but not least, 196th, 76th, because naturally they have to be weird, and for some reason not have unique names per street. No, they just have to fucking go with numbered names, both directions, or all 4 cardinal directions, which isn't confusing at all. So there you go. And then, of course, we're back to square one. So that is the Edmunds Streetcar. The Lake City Morton line, something very important is to see the interconnectivity. There's actually a lot of interconnectivity, by the way, which you'll see in the next set of videos that goes through here. And also, if you watched this video, you'd actually see another interconnectivity through a regional rail line, and thus a metro line, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of intermodality or interconnectivity between, and what do you call it, interfacing between a bunch of different lines. The Lake City Norton line, Linus Kleiser, as it were, it connects up with the Seattle line, which then connects up with West Seattle Burien line, and then it connects with the Disburyport Loop. And these 3 lines are featured in their own video. And so now, in fact, you can see how the Seattle line, therefore, also directly interfaces with this line. If you saw the overview video of the complete network, you'd see that the East Ender, or you'd see the East Ender video, now that I think about it, the first video in this whole thing, you'd see that the East Ender Regional Rail actually connects through here in Monroe and then Duvall. And so therefore these both also connect on the East End and the West End and in the center as well with many other lines. So therefore, this is actually really intelligent because it doesn't matter where you are in the entire region, you have direct connectivity to both Linus Kleisers. So, Lake City Morton, here he is. So naturally, we have this shot here in Lake City. Well, here in the center of town, you have Briarcrest right here. And again, these stops admittedly are actually really close together, I feel like. At least these 2 are. And occasionally you'll have really close together stops. And you also have areas where I wanted to have a station like here, as you'll see later, but I just figured it was just way too many stops at once and also way too close to each other, because the metro is supposed to be more express and less stops, of course, than that of a light rail line or a streetcar line, whatever you want to call it, a tram line. Therefore, I tried to avoid having them in this close of proximity, but it just makes sense because of this major thoroughfare as well that goes all the way through here. And it connects up to, I mean, you have your light rail here. So, I mean, this makes perfect sense to make sure that you have that intermodality and connectivity in that vicinity. Plus, you have a big old school complex up here, too. So, I think it just needs to be there. The third one is Lake Forest Park. And because this connects up through multiple other major thoroughfares in the vicinity, technically kind of connects up through here. I mean, you have a lot of that different area. Sure, they're richer people, so who the fuck cares? But then there's a shopping center here, and there's a community center there, so I feel like it makes sense to have a station there. Obviously, downtown Kenmore has got to have a station, so therefore Kenmore gets it. So the vacuums can go and take over the fucking world via my metro system. Bothell proper has its own station. It's a really weird station shape and length because I just figured this actually makes the most sense because of this density here. They're probably going to develop this, and they're obviously developing these, and then you have your big park here. So, which goes on both sides of the river. So therefore, you have a funky shape like that. And then, of course, one of the next really close stops is going to be this station right here, which is Bothell North Creek. And as you can tell, this one also was already a station for the East Ender, and then I altered it so that that way it makes more sense, so that they're both, you know, platforms are interconnected. Again, another bi-level station. And then these are obviously the places that give better direct accessibility without having to cross these stupid on-off ramps of the freeway systems. So then you can just hop right in, you immediately go up these ramps, and depending on which station you want to go to, will boom. And obviously you have connectivity to this side as well. I thought about going that far, but I'm just like, it's already long enough. I'm not going to go that far with it, even if I should. So path here, so just next up on the list we have Woodinville, which is right here, of course. I put it pretty much in center of town. The next one, because I did want to have one up here, but I said, nah, fuck it, or here. But because of the proximity, I thought it was too close. Didn't really make a lot of sense. So I'm like, you know what? I'll do it here because there is a bunch of this stuff here. And obviously there's not really enough over here to justify station in that vicinity. This also connects directly up to this road that goes through here, which connects up to this road, which connects up to that road. And it just makes sense overall, I feel like, to compromise, put it there instead of down here, because then it's not too close. You have it here. And then the next stop, because there's not enough population in the area, is going to be in Maltby. Well, that is Maltby. Sorry. That is Maltby Station. Is going to be in South Monroe. So, Maltby. South Monroe, which this is a funky ass station for obvious reasons, because it's technically two different stations, but you interconnect them with a nice overpass so that anybody who needs to make a transfer can make it. And then obviously you have your connections down to the sidewalks and the road systems on either side of the road on both of these, also here. So therefore this community and everything is also directly connected as well to the station. And then because of the funky shape going on with Monroe, you end up connecting up to the main station of Monroe, which is right here, which again, as we have established, the East Ender Regional Rail connects directly to. So that is the Lake City Morton Metro line, which, by the way, was 25 miles in length. And last but not least, we have the 24-mile Duvall to Seattle line. And this one's fun because it's the second metro line that directly connects into the now altered and expanded Pike's Place Market station. So, waterfront / Pike's Place, Prick's Place, what? So, as you can see, here is your station here, pretty much. And then obviously you have this station here for the Seattle line. So that's where you have your nice little bridge gap here between the two stations. It's pretty beautiful. And then that way you have direct connectivity as well to literally any of these sides, and including also to this ramp for the pedestrian overpass over the Alaska, what remains, I should say, of Alaska Way. And then, yeah, you have your direct connectivity into downtown and, of course, Pike's Place. The next one we have is here, and actually this line is one of the very first lines I ever showcased in a video. That will be in one of them. I don't remember which one it would be in. That one goes all the way up to here from North Bend to Bourne Denny, which is why there's this. I just, of course, altered it so that that way it fits the bi-level station concept. So therefore you have two different stations right here on Bourne and Denny. And then, of course, you have, and also Virginia, I think, is another street there, and I can't remember the fourth one. And I really wanted to have a station somewhere around here to here, somewhere in this vicinity, probably right here or right here. But the problem is that it's still really close to too close of proximity between these two stations. But that's exactly why in these kind of concepts, I always leave it up to you to decide, once you have the full metro system and network already running and the line running for quite a while, would you decide to put an infill station there? That's the question. But this is a lot of stops already for a 24-mile line. And in fact, it's like the perfect amount for 24 miles, just like I felt like the station amount for the Lake City Morton line was perfect for 25 miles. So, yeah. So the next station would be the Mont Lake. Oh, no, sorry, East Lake Station right here. East Lake Union, even though it's technically not a lake. Then the next one would be Mont Lake, which is basically just the university complex south of there. We already have the university loop, which goes through here. And we also have the light rail that connects up to University of Washington as well here. Although I still fail to understand where exactly the path of that light rail line goes, because we're now intimately familiar with this region, and I haven't seen hide nor hair of any rail. So I'm assuming it like goes into here and in like a tunnel, and it tunnels through, but I don't know what the alignment's like. I'd have to look at the actual network map as it exists for Link in the first place. But the point is you have a lot of good interconnectivity through there via this station. The next one is at Hunts Point, because Hunts Point, of course, is right here. It's a wee bit of a penis. And so, Hunts Point, right here. I did kind of want to put one up here instead, but again, you can see the proximity didn't make any sense. And plus, with the direct connectivity up through here into downtown, I believe that's Kirkland. And then obviously downtown Bellevue is right here, and obviously Redmond's just over here. So logistically, this makes even more sense to have the connectivity to in regards to a station. So therefore, or stations in this case, as you are already getting a preview of. So therefore, I have to skip this point, even though there's better residential through there, and this is your last stop on the side of Lake Washington. And then we have this one here. We have the weird path systems and networks to connect up directly to well, sidewalks and paths, so that way, depending on where you're coming from, you have better connectivity. And obviously this also directly connects into this kind of dead end of the parking lot here at this apartment complex, so that way they have better direct connectivity. It's pretty neat. Anyway, so as you can see, there's already a line here, which you'll see in a future video. This one then continues from Yarrow View, so Yarrow Point and Bellevue, which this is Yarrow Point here, speaking of. And then we go to Bell Red Station, which is, of course, is right here. Another really funky, fresh one, because for some reason, there's a dumb fucking pedestrian/bicyclist path that follows directly along the freeway, because reasons. Don't ask me why the fuck they thought that made sense. I mean, I guess as a compromise, if you can have anything, it's a pretty shitty and pathetic compromise to have, but technically, at the very least, it's something, I guess. So why the fuck not? But anyway. So directly it connects up to that, so that these areas on the north side have better connectivity. And then obviously, because of the stupid endless fucking ramp here, I mean, look at this shit. What the fuck are you doing? Good lord. You have to go all the way over, and this is obviously a ramp too. You obviously have to go all the way over here and cross over them. So therefore, there you go. And then same kind of thing here. Instead of putting on this corner, I figured I'd get better connectivity on the south side via this one as well. And then, of course, you have this here. And in fact, actually, now that I think about it, this allows you to not have to necessarily use these roads underneath the freeways. Theoretically, if you wanted to, if it doesn't get too crowded, you could actually allow bicyclists and pedestrians to just use this ramp or this ramp to then go like this and get through these areas that way. But either way, that's your Bell Red Station. Next station is Overlake, which of course is going to be right here. There's multiple different locations. You think, oh, why didn't you put it down here? Why didn't you put it here? Why didn't you put it there? Why didn't you put it here? Oh, why did you put it there? Why did you put it here or there? Well, yeah, all those kind of make some sense, but you see, the surrounding region, it's too close to this station, and it would be too close to this station up here, which both of these I definitely had to make sure I hit. So therefore, you compromise in the middle somewhere, and this is as close as you can get to the middle while making sense, because as you can see, it's yellow, meaning it's at grade, meaning it's in the median / intermediate lanes, it would take over of the freeway. And therefore, that means that you have natural little ramps that are directly going to connect up into this pedestrian overpass, so that that way you can directly connect into this Link light rail station, this Pork and Glide, and then obviously into the Microsoft complex and into down here and over here. So literally both sides of the freeway are directly connected. The business districts are connected, obviously the campuses, and obviously you can directly connect into these rest of these road networks with ease, therefore making it a perfect spot, because this already pre-exists, and so does this ramp up into it from the station. So therefore, that's fan-freaking tabernacle. Okay. Next one is Redmond Propian, which is up here, Wabamski. Hup. So here's your light rail station, your link station, which then curves around and of course goes here into downtown Redmond. And it's interesting actually how this just stops. I know they need that to supposedly turn around, except they can't really turn around because now they see there's no crossover. So I'm not exactly sure what exactly they're doing. It seems like they might try to expand it, but then that would probably mean it's going to follow this path or get rid of the path. And I think that's a terrible idea, to an extent at least. But I don't know where the heck they're going to go with that. Are they going to go up into Bothell? Or I guess, I mean, like, what is their plans? Are they going to go up here? Or, like, are they going to plan to shoot the gap and then go all the way over to here? But that would be kind of weird, because then you're literally just going from, I think, either over here and around. I think it's actually down here we established when I recorded this video, and then it got botched because it corrupted before. But actually it curves through, we know it curves through here, and then it goes up north. It does a sharp kind of turn, just like Max does between Beaverton Transit Center and Sunset Transit Center. to get into the underneath station here of downtown Bellevue, and then eventually curve, as you can see, this is the station here, it goes underground, and then you've got this here. So like why you would choose this path and circumvent everything and then all of a sudden curve back this way and then go suddenly into Kenmore, it doesn't really make any sense to me. It's a really dumb concept. So I'm not sure why that looks like it continues, but it's there. And if they are going to continue it, I must launch a complaint for a multitude of reasons, actually, because there's not even capacity for 2 different lines. If they decided, okay, that'll be the end of that line, and then we'll just continue another one. Terrible idea, especially when it's light rail. That's inexcusable. It needs to be a metro line. But anyway, but yeah, the curvature of it, the constant swerving, is just makes no fucking sense. Anyway, yeah, so this is the Redmond station. Obviously, you got your footpaths to either side of the freeway ramps, and then obviously to the link station. Next station is up here at Bear Creek, right here. And again, this is one of those weird, funky spots because you could have it here, but then there's not really population. You could have it here over this intersection, but that doesn't really make sense when you have this space here, and then you have the ability to just immediately at the end of the station have a path that directly connects up right here to this community, so they don't have to go wherever the fuck they have to go. They have direct connectivity through these areas as well, and then they don't have to go into the main thoroughfare either to connect to it. And this obviously the same kind of premise that way this whole stupidly laid out apartment community and stuff like that, apartment communities have direct connectivity as well, along with this place here and all the other places up there. Okay, next one is Redmond Ridge, which is over Redgi, which is, okay, English is stupid. Redmond, which is over here, Wabamski. And then we have East Redmond, okay, cool. Hunting rabbits. Redmond, East Redmond, here, Ridge here. Yes, indeed. So then last but not least, or to start, is Duvall station itself. And I have this like curvature here because of course I made the station in the first video, and of the very first line in fact I made, which was the East Ender regional rail. That was the very, very first line in this entire freaking system and concept here. So as a result, I didn't know that I was going to have another connectivity here at any point. I didn't have the thought because I wasn't there yet. This is actually a much more recently made line, so therefore you have the cross here to indicate that there's 2 different lines here, because obviously the other one just goes straight, and therefore they crisscross each other to indicate that there's 2 different lines. And I'm not going to edit the other line because that takes too much time, when all this already takes a lot of time already, especially to get all the different names so that they make some sense. So that is those 3 Linus Clauses showcased, and with a little bit of the interfacing shown as well in the video. I highly recommend you go follow along the playlist and subscribe for each of these videos, because obviously it seems pretty clear I'm not going to be making any other kind of videos for quite a while on this channel outside of just this series alone. It's something that I'm very passionate about and I thoroughly enjoy, and I spend probably way too much time making and doing, and therefore if you're into this stuff, I'd highly recommend you check it out by checking out the playlist and also subscribing, so that you can keep up to date with each of the concepts, so you can see how they all truly intertwine and interact. So considering there's a lot more to come, you'll see even more interfacing with these, at least these 2 lines. That all said, thank you so very, very much for watching, and make sure you drop a comment down below about what you think about these lines and these concepts below, where the stations are, how you would alter or change these lines, if at all, if you think they would work, if you think they're good or bad, or especially if you live in the area, and even more so, what your concepts are, and or how you would alter these lines and these stations, locations, and everything else as well, because it's very helpful. I really enjoy this kind of brainstorm sessions with people, this kind of conversations, and it's really exciting to me to be able to have fellow transit geeks and whores and nerds like myself. I consider myself a transit whore, to be able to give their inputs as well, especially when you live in the region, because obviously I don't. I haven't actually been to the Seattle region since 2008, so it's been Oh, very long. In fact, it's almost been 20 years. That's 17 years. Jesus Christ, I didn't realize that's how long that's been. Fuck's sake, yeah, 2028 will be literally 20 years since last time. Good lord. So I'm gonna shut the fuck up, and I'm gonna go hit by a Max train. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get hit by a Max train and then die. If you'll excuse me, I'll be right back. It's very important.